Ladies and gentlemen, hear me today. Too many people are wasting the precious moments of their life staring out the window of someone else's journey. You are scrolling through their blessings. You are measuring their progress. You are comparing your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. And all the while, your own book is sitting on the shelf, unwritten. Stop letting other people's highlight reels make you doubt your own process. You don't know the cost of their crown. You don't know the nights they cried, the sacrifices they made, the burdens they carried. And yet you are ready to abandon your own destiny, trying to wear shoes that were never made for your feet. You've got to make up in your mind. I will not let distraction destroy my direction. I've got too much purpose inside of me to keep peeking over the fence at what's happening next door. Your destiny requires focus. Your calling requires discipline. And your future requires that you stop competing with everybody else and start competing with who you were yesterday. Hear me. When you stop chasing other people, you'll finally catch yourself. When you stop envying their lane, you'll finally discover the power in your own. And when you learn to focus, truly focus, on what God placed in your hands, you'll be amazed at how high you can rise. So today I challenge you, shut the door on comparison, lock the window on distraction, and set your eyes forward. Your best life is not in somebody else's hands. It is in yours. Your future is waiting. Your purpose is calling. And it's time for you to focus on you. Comparison kills confidence because it shifts your focus away from your own progress and plants your attention in someone else's garden. The moment you start measuring your worth by what someone else has, you diminish the value of what you have been given. Comparison whispers that you are not enough, that you are behind, that you are lacking. It blinds you to your unique gifts and convinces you that success only looks one way. This silent thief does not strike loudly. It seeps in subtly, through a social media scroll, through watching peers rise, through hearing the applause for someone else's achievement. And before you realize it, you begin to question your own journey. Confidence is not built by competing with others. It is built by embracing your authentic self. The danger of comparison is that it robs you of authenticity. You start mimicking instead of mastering, copying instead of cultivating. When your eyes are always on someone else's lane, you miss the opportunities present in your own. You waste energy trying to replicate their steps instead of discovering your own rhythm. Confidence grows when you recognize that you are not required to be like anyone else. You are required to be the best version of yourself. The root of comparison is often insecurity, and insecurity thrives when we ignore our own progress. You may not be where you want to be, but you are not where you used to be either. Yet comparison erases that truth. It tricks you into despising your season, belittling your small beginnings, and disregarding the progress you've already made. Instead of celebrating your growth, you dismiss it because it doesn't look like someone else's highlight. This constant measurement against others becomes a weight heavy enough to break confidence. Confidence is about ownership, owning your story, your pace, and your growth. Every person has a different timeline. Some seeds take longer to sprout. Some trees take longer to bear fruit. Just because someone else's harvest looks abundant today does not mean your field is barren. It simply means your process is different. Comparison blinds you to that truth, causing you to uproot your progress because you don't see instant results like someone else. When confidence is destroyed by comparison, it creates a cycle of frustration. You hesitate to take risks because you feel inadequate. You avoid opportunities because you assume you cannot measure up. You silence your voice because you believe others are louder, better, stronger. This hesitation costs more than missed opportunities. It costs your identity. You begin to live in shadows, operating below your potential, all because you were too focused on someone else's light. The reality is that no one can be you. Your individuality is your greatest asset, and when you lose sight of that, you lose power. Confidence flows when you stand tall in your uniqueness, but comparison cuts that flow. It convinces you that your uniqueness is a weakness, when in fact, it is your advantage. Your lane is your responsibility, because no one else can run the race that was assigned to you. Life gives each person a path, a set of opportunities, challenges, and responsibilities that are uniquely designed for their growth. When you spend time worrying about someone else's lane, you neglect the very work that was placed in your hands. Every dream, every goal, every assignment requires focus and accountability, and that accountability cannot be shifted onto another person. Your lane is not about competition. It is about completion. It is about staying consistent with your journey, regardless of how fast or slow others may appear to be moving. Responsibility means ownership. When you take ownership of your lane, you stop making excuses for lack of progress and begin to recognize that the results you see in your life are tied to the discipline you bring to your lane. If you water your lane with effort, consistency, and persistence, you will see growth. If you neglect it by spending too much time observing others, you will see stagnation. Your lane reflects your choices, and responsibility demands that you show up daily for your own vision, not someone else's. Every lane comes with both opportunities and obstacles. Some lanes will have mountains to climb, others will have valleys to endure, and some will have stretches of smooth ground where momentum builds easily. It is not your job to choose another person's terrain. It is your job to master the one you have been given. What you face in your lane is not accidental. It is designed to shape you, strengthen you, and prepare you for where you are headed. Avoiding responsibility by envying someone else's lane robs you of the preparation necessary for your own success. Your lane also carries a purpose greater than yourself. Someone else is connected to your journey. Your family, your community, and even people you may never meet are impacted by whether or not you take responsibility for what you were called to do. If you abandon your lane, you leave a gap that no one else can fill. Responsibility means understanding that your progress is not just for you. It ripples outward to affect others who depend on the fulfillment of your role. Staying in your lane requires discipline of mind and clarity of focus. It means guarding yourself against distractions, against jealousy, against the temptation to compare timelines. Responsibility demands saying no to shortcuts and yes to consistency. It means you accept the weight of both success and failure, recognizing that both are part of the same journey. When you take full responsibility, you stop blaming circumstances or people, and you begin to operate with the understanding that your lane is shaped by the effort you commit to it. Your lane is not just about tasks. It is about growth. Every step in your lane is an opportunity to refine who you are becoming. Responsibility is not always easy, but it is always necessary. It is the difference between potential and fulfillment, between drifting aimlessly and moving intentionally toward your destination. Distraction delays destiny because it pulls your focus away from what truly matters and scatters your energy across things that have no lasting value. Every person is born with purpose, with a calling, with a vision that is waiting to be manifested. But the pathway to that vision requires concentration and intentional effort. Distraction is not always loud, it is often subtle. It comes in small doses, through unnecessary comparisons, endless scrolling, meaningless conversations, and wasted hours chasing approval that adds nothing to your growth. These small interruptions pile up until they form a wall between where you are and where you are meant to be. Destiny does not arrive by accident. It is reached through clarity and consistency. Every time you give in to distraction, you push that moment of arrival further into the future. Distraction is dangerous because it often disguises itself as harmless. It convinces you that you are simply taking a break, that you will get back on track later, that there is still time. But what it truly does is eat away at the minutes, hours, and days that could have been invested into your purpose. Time is one of the most precious currencies we have, and unlike money, it cannot be replaced. Once it is gone forever. Distraction steals that currency without your permission, and the longer you allow it to remain unchecked, the further away you drift from your intended destination. Destiny requires focus, and focus requires sacrifice. To remain locked in on your purpose, you must be willing to shut the door on things that drain your attention. That means protecting your mind from negative influences, limiting your exposure to environments that don't align with your goals, and surrounding yourself with people who sharpen your vision rather than blur it. Distraction thrives when boundaries are weak. Without clear priorities, everything looks urgent, everything feels necessary, and everything demands your time. The truth is not everything deserves your time. When you start to recognize the difference between what is important and what is simply urgent, you begin to reclaim your focus and take control of your destiny. One of the greatest weapons distraction uses is comparison. When you spend too much time looking at what others are doing, you start to lose sight of what you should be doing. Instead of pouring energy into your own development, you waste energy questioning your progress, doubting your abilities, and trying to imitate someone else's journey. This not only delays your destiny, it distorts it. You were never called to live someone else's life, and distraction through comparison is one of the most effective ways to keep you from discovering your authentic power. Your lane requires your full attention, and when that attention is divided, progress slows down to a crawl. Distraction also shows up through the need for approval. Many people spend more time trying to be liked than trying to be effective. They adjust their pace, their voice, their decisions to fit the expectations of others, forgetting that destiny is not reached by popularity. It is reached by perseverance. Every moment spent trying to satisfy others is a moment taken away from building the foundation of your purpose. Approval will come and go, but destiny is permanent. The danger lies in choosing the temporary applause of distraction over the eternal fulfillment of destiny. Even small distractions can accumulate into significant delays. That one missed opportunity, because you were not prepared. That one relationship you entertained that pulled you off course. That one habit you allowed to consume your mornings. Over time, these moments add up. Destiny is built step by step, and distraction interrupts the rhythm of those steps. A delayed rhythm creates a delayed arrival. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stagnant is not always talent or resources. Often it is simply the ability to remain focused when distractions are calling. Distraction can also be internal. Fear, doubt, and worry are some of the loudest distractions of the mind. You may not be scrolling, you may not be chasing others, but if your thoughts are constantly consumed with what could go wrong, you are still distracted. Internal distractions are just as powerful as external ones because they keep your energy locked in cycles of hesitation. Destiny requires courage, and courage cannot coexist with a distracted mind. To move forward, you must quiet the noise within yourself, reminding your mind daily of the vision you are chasing and the purpose you are pursuing. Your destiny does not vanish when you are distracted, but it does drift further away. The longer you allow your attention to be pulled in every direction, the longer it will take for you to step into what was meant for you. Every choice to resist distraction is a choice to close the gap between your present and your future. Every day you choose focus over noise, you accelerate the pace toward your destiny. Distraction may delay, but discipline brings alignment. And when alignment is present, progress becomes inevitable. Compete with your past, not their present, because your greatest rival is not the person standing next to you, but the version of yourself you left behind. Too often, people waste their energy comparing themselves to others, measuring their success against someone else's timeline, and resenting the progress they see in another person's journey. What they fail to realize is that comparison steals joy while competition with self builds strength. Your past is the only benchmark that matters, because only by looking back at where you once were can you measure the true growth of where you are today. When you compete with your past, you acknowledge the struggles you've overcome, the lessons you've learned, and the victories you've gained, no matter how small they may seem. The past version of you may have been fearful, hesitant, inconsistent, or doubtful. But if today you are even a little stronger, a little braver, or a little more disciplined, you are winning. Progress is not about giant leaps every day. It is about consistent steps that prove you are no longer the same person you once were. This form of competition pushes you forward without placing unnecessary pressure to mirror anyone else's life. The danger of competing with someone else's present is that you have no idea what it took for them to arrive at that stage. You are comparing your behind the scenes struggles to their highlight reel. You are looking at their finished chapter while you are still writing yours. This creates frustration, discouragement, and a false sense of failure. By shifting your focus to your past self, you stay grounded in reality, measuring yourself only against what you know to be true. Your own journey, your own experiences, your own growth. That is the only fair comparison you can make. Competing with your past keeps you humble yet hungry. It humbles you because you recognize how far you've come, and it makes you hungry because you see how much further you can go. Each version of yourself becomes a stepping stone to the next. Yesterday's victories are the foundation for today's challenges, and today's victories become the preparation for tomorrow's opportunities. This cycle of self-competition ensures that you are always evolving, always stretching, always striving to be better than the person you were before. You never grow stagnant when you are committed to outgrowing your past. This mindset also eliminates envy. When you compete only with yourself, you celebrate others instead of resenting them. Their success does not threaten you because you are not in a race with them. Their progress can inspire you, but it does not define you. Instead of jealousy, you develop gratitude for your journey, your lane, and your unique process. This kind of perspective protects your confidence because you no longer waste energy measuring yourself against an unrealistic standard. You redirect that energy into becoming the strongest version of yourself possible. Competing with your past also teaches patience. Growth does not happen overnight. There will be seasons where progress feels slow, where it seems as though nothing is changing, where frustration creeps in and tells you to give up. But when you look back at your past, you realize you are not where you used to be. You see evidence of growth, even if it feels small. This fuels resilience, reminding you that if you have overcome before, you can overcome again. Patience is born when you recognize that progress, no matter how gradual, is still progress. Another benefit of this mindset is clarity. When you compete with others, you often lose sight of what truly matters to you, because you're busy chasing what matters to them. You may adopt goals that were never meant for you, pursue paths that do not align with your purpose, or try to fit into molds that were never designed for your shape. But when you compete with your past, you remain aligned with your own journey. Your goals are centered on your authentic growth, not the applause or recognition that comes from mimicking someone else. This kind of clarity ensures that your energy is always invested in building the life you were designed to live. Competing with your past fosters discipline. It forces you to evaluate your habits, your mindset, and your actions. If last year you were inconsistent, can this year you become disciplined? If last month you procrastinated, can this month you become more productive? If yesterday you doubted yourself, can today you believe a little more? These small but intentional improvements stack up over time, creating a lifestyle of excellence that is not dependent on comparison, but on consistent self-mastery. Discipline thrives in an environment where the standard is personal growth, not external validation. Competing with your past also builds gratitude. When you pause to recognize the distance between your former self and your current self, you learn to appreciate every battle you survived and every obstacle you conquered. Gratitude keeps you from despising small beginnings and reminds you that even slow progress is worthy of acknowledgement. Gratitude does not mean you settle. It means you acknowledge what has already been achieved, while still pressing forward toward greater levels of growth. This balance of gratitude and ambition keeps your perspective healthy and your spirit strong. Finally, this principle creates freedom. When you stop obsessing over what others are doing, you free yourself from unnecessary pressure and comparison. You are no longer enslaved to someone else's pace, someone else's blessings, or someone else's timeline. Instead, you walk in the freedom of your own journey, knowing that every step forward is a victory over the person you once were. Competing with your past liberates you to grow authentically, without fear, without envy, without distraction, and without the weight of living up to anyone else's standard. But your own purpose requires focus, not envy, because the assignment placed within you cannot be fulfilled if your attention is divided or consumed with the success of others. Purpose is specific, personal, and intentional. It is the reason you exist, the unique imprint you were designed to leave on the world. But purpose does not fulfill itself. It demands clarity, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to stay locked in on what matters most. Focus is the fuel that drives you toward the finish line, while envy is the poison that slows your steps and clouds your vision. You cannot walk in your calling while wishing for someone else's. You cannot reach your destiny while resenting the journey of another. Focus lifts you higher, envy pulls you lower. One builds, the other breaks. One empowers, the other drains. And you cannot afford to sabotage your own future by feeding envy when purpose requires focus. Focus gives direction. When you are focused, you know where you are headed and what steps you must take to move forward. You stop scattering your time across distractions and instead prioritize the habits, relationships, and opportunities that align with your calling. Focus is like a lens. It sharpens what is blurry and brings clarity to what matters. With focus, you can identify what deserves your energy and what must be left behind. Envy, on the other hand, creates confusion. It shifts your eyes from your lane to someone else's, making you believe their path is more valuable than yours. The moment you envy, you lose clarity. Instead of pursuing your purpose, you chase shadows of someone else's destiny. And in doing so, you delay your own purpose is heavy, and it requires strength to carry it. That strength is built through focus, through long hours of consistency, through staying committed even when results are slow. Envy weakens you. It drains your strength by making you feel inadequate, as though your work is small compared to others. Instead of celebrating your progress, you diminish it. Instead of nurturing your gift, you neglect it. Envy convinces you that your seed has no value because you are too busy staring at someone else's tree. But focus reminds you that if you keep watering your seed, if you keep tending your soil, your tree will grow in its season. Focus teaches patience, while envy breeds frustration. When you focus, you create momentum. Purpose flourishes when small steps are taken consistently, building over time into something greater. Each day of focus compounds, and eventually, you begin to see the fruit of your discipline. Momentum propels you forward even in difficult seasons because you are locked in on the bigger picture. Envy breaks momentum. It interrupts your flow because instead of building, you are watching. Instead of progressing, you are pausing to compare. Envy stalls growth by shifting your energy toward emotions that produce nothing but bitterness. Purpose cannot thrive in an environment polluted with envy. It thrives in the soil of focus and dedication. Focus also brings peace. When you know what you are called to do, and you commit yourself fully to that path, you eliminate the chaos of competing with others. You accept that your journey is yours alone, and that peace allows you to move with confidence. Envy robs peace. It keeps you restless, dissatisfied, and constantly questioning your worth. It creates an endless cycle of comparison where nothing you do feels good enough, because you are not measuring it by your purpose, but by someone else's achievements. Peace and envy cannot coexist, and you cannot walk in purpose without peace. Purpose requires you to protect your mind. Focus is mental discipline, the ability to silence distractions, ignore noise, and prioritize your calling above all else. When you are focused, your mind is sharp, your thoughts are clear, and your decisions are intentional. Envy clouds the mind. It distorts perception, magnifies insecurities, and blinds you to your own strengths. A mind filled with envy cannot recognize opportunities when they arrive because it is too preoccupied with what others are doing. Purpose will knock on the door, but envy will keep you from opening it. Another truth is that focus produces gratitude. When you focus on your journey, you begin to see the beauty in your growth, even in its early stages. You celebrate progress instead of despising small beginnings. Gratitude keeps you consistent because you are motivated by appreciation for what you already have. Envy does the opposite. It creates discontentment. You overlook blessings because you are blinded by someone else's harvest. You neglect your wins because you are jealous of theirs. Gratitude fuels perseverance, but envy feeds dissatisfaction, and dissatisfaction destroys the ability to stay committed to purpose. Purpose requires resilience, and resilience comes from focus. When challenges come, focus reminds you of why you started. It gives you the endurance to keep pressing forward because you are anchored in vision. Envy makes you fragile. The moment trials appear, you break. because you were never anchored in your own why. You were chasing someone else's. Purpose cannot be fulfilled by fragile hearts. It demands resilient ones, and resilience is born through focus, not envy. Every person has a calling, but not every person fulfills it. The difference lies in whether they choose focus or envy. Focus sharpens, envy blurs. Focus builds, envy destroys. Focus aligns, envy distracts. And if your purpose is to be fulfilled, if your calling is to be realized, you must guard your eyes, your mind, and your heart against envy and fix them firmly on the path ahead, because purpose requires focus. Not envy. Growth begins where attention is planted, because whatever you consistently give your focus to will expand, strengthen, and eventually shape the course of your life. Just like a seed cannot grow without sunlight, water, and care, your dreams, your skills, and your character cannot grow without intentional attention. Too many people expect growth in areas they neglect, hoping for progress in places they never invest in. But growth is not accidental. It is the direct result of where your attention is rooted. If your attention is scattered, your growth will be shallow. If your attention is consistent, your growth will be deep. Attention is one of the most powerful resources you own. Wherever it goes, energy flows. If your attention is planted in negativity, fear, and doubt, then those things will multiply and choke your progress. But if your attention is planted in discipline, learning, and self-improvement, then growth becomes inevitable. The mind, like soil, does not discriminate. It will grow whatever you plant, whether weeds or wheat, distractions or destiny. The harvest will reflect the seeds of your attention. Growth also requires patience. When you plant your attention in the right place, you may not see results immediately. Just as a seed takes time to break through the ground, your growth may remain hidden at first. This is where many people quit. They shift their attention too quickly, moving from one pursuit to another, never allowing anything to fully mature. But growth demands that you remain planted, nurturing your focus even when results seem invisible. Consistency in attention produces transformation that time will eventually reveal. The quality of your growth is determined by the quality of your focus. If you give half-hearted attention, you will see half-hearted results. If you give divided attention, your growth will be uneven. But when you give full, undivided attention to what truly matters, you accelerate your development. Your mind sharpens, your skills improve, your opportunities increase, and your life begins to align with the effort you've invested. Attention is not just about what you look at. It is about what you nurture daily with your time, your energy, and your choices. When attention is planted in the right place, growth happens not only externally but internally. You become stronger in character, wiser in decisions, and more disciplined in actions. The outer results are simply reflections of the inner transformation. This is why protecting your focus is so important, because everything you will ever achieve begins first in the soil of your attention. Growth begins where attention is planted, and wherever you decide to plant it, that is where your life will flourish at the end of it all. The message is simple but life-changing. Stop looking outward for validation and start looking inward for transformation. Comparison kills confidence. Your lane is your responsibility. Distraction delays destiny. And true progress comes only when you compete with your past, not someone else's present. Purpose demands focus, not envy. And real growth will always begin wherever your attention is planted. The destiny placed inside you cannot be fulfilled through imitation, envy, or distraction. It can only be fulfilled when you decide to lock your eyes on your own journey. Embrace the discipline of focus, and give your full energy to becoming the best version of yourself. The moment you stop wasting time watching others and start investing time in yourself, you step into power, you step into clarity, and you step into the future you were created to live at the heart of everything we've spoken. There is one unshakable truth: your life is too valuable to waste chasing shadows. You were not created to live in the reflection of someone else's success. You were created with your own blueprint, your own destiny, your own calling that demands your attention, your focus, and your effort. Comparison kills confidence because it blinds you to your own value. Your lane is your responsibility because no one else can run it for you. Distraction delays destiny because every minute you waste, you cannot retrieve. Competing with your past, not their present, keeps you moving forward without drowning in envy. Purpose requires focus, not envy, because what you've been called to do cannot be fulfilled while staring at another person's blessing. Growth begins where attention is planted, because whatever you nurture will multiply. Whether it is fear or faith, excuses or excellence, bitterness or breakthrough. The truth is this: you cannot afford to lose yourself in the noise of comparison. You cannot afford to let jealousy, distraction, or doubt detour you from the life you were destined to live. You cannot afford to sit on the sidelines, clapping for others while never stepping into your own arena. Your future is waiting. Your assignment is waiting. Your destiny is waiting. And it will not come when your focus is scattered. It will come when your focus is planted. So lift your eyes off the lives of others. Stop wasting energy measuring your worth against someone else's journey. Dig deep into your own soil. Water your own seed. Cultivate your own lane. And every day, rise with the determination to be better than the person you were yesterday. Because the real victory is not in being greater than them. It is in being greater than who you used to be.